I don't think so. I'm not in love with DeAndre Jordan, especially for the Cavs. It's not as far as his individual skill, but what would he provide to the Cavs from a fit for them to be able to beat Golden State? Because really it's about Golden State. People say, well, getting out of the East. No, that's not really the equation for LeBron. LeBron's there to try to win championships. I don't believe it makes him a champion this year, and I don't believe it helps keep him in Cleveland long term. So sometimes general managers talk about the best deals are the ones that you don't make. Yep. And I believe that Cleveland on this end benefited from whatever, if it was the first deal, second deal, whatever order they came in. I like how they are now. So I don't like to do the revisionist history part of it.
I like doing the revisionist history. You're right. General managers do say it's the ones that you don't make, oftentimes, shape your future. But look, I think for the now, Cleveland is better off of what they have. I think for the playoffs, DeAndre Jordan would have been better.
Really?
Yeah, like newsflash, DeAndre Jordan's actually making his free throws this year. He was 8 of 9 last night. I think he's making 60% on the year. And DeAndre Jordan is the best rim-protecting star.
And for a lot of people that don't watch a lot of basketball, because they went to hack DeAndre at the end of a lot of games, especially in the playoffs. So him making those free throws is a great point that you're bringing, because that was one of the huge negatives in having him to be on the court, especially late in games.
And look, I understand that we all believe that somehow the Clippers were these massive failures, that group, with Blake and Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan, but they weren't healthy. And there was something to their makeup which I think could have provided a very difficult run for the Warriors to go through in the playoffs. We never saw it. Remember, the Clippers never faced off with the Warriors in their title playoff runs. The Clippers one year beat the Spurs, and they lost because of injury, and they would never collide. Right. So I actually think the Cavs would be better in the playoffs, because in the regular season, and maybe even maybe not the playoffs, not the right word, the finals, because the depth that they have now allows, you mentioned it yesterday, LeBron James to come off the court and feel pretty good about the youth, the athleticism, the defense.
Yeah, look at the game on Monday when LeBron sat, I think, 8 minutes or so, and they were able to be consistent, only a couple points behind.
But championships are won by your best 5 on the court.
Sure.
And if the Cavs' best 5 would have been better if you had DeAndre Jordan at center, in my opinion. The problem was you couldn't jettison Tristan Thompson. You'd still have Kevin Love. But you put him protecting that rim, rolling to that rim, guarding off the paint. We all talk about the Warriors' three-point shooting, which is great, but the Warriors lead the league in layups. They get dead layups.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. When you start looking at a series and how you're going to win 4 games, yes, you could, if you add DeAndre, because Tristan is not the defender that he was a couple years ago. You make a great point, because they do. And we don't look at it that way. Man, they shoot threes, they're up and down, but they also, they lead the league in layups and easy buckets. So having that massive defender there, that could be a difference changer. That could be a game changer for them. Yeah, well, we talked earlier about those trades, the ones that you don't make. A lot of times they end up being the ones that you value the most. And I like the Cavs where they are, because I just believe that I believe they're better right now, but also going into the future with their owner, Daniel Gilbert, committing to the money to the salary cap and the luxury tax, like it shows a commitment long term. So I believe the chance of keeping LeBron James through the trades that they've made increases the probability of him staying in Cleveland. Now,
with or without a ring? With or without a ring, do you think?
I believe the ring, it does hold some type of on LeBron. I mean, it would be hard to leave with 2 championships in 4 years. We haven't seen anyone leave with a championship. So I think that the moves now potentially can keep LeBron long term. But in sitting here talking to Doug has kind of swayed me in talking about individual series, how they would be defensively, in DeAndre Jordan, a case for him. So I could see it both ways. I like the youth now. You add 3 25-year-olds and 1 31-year-old. I like that.
That energy is undeniable.
Undeniable. There's no question that it's a B12 shot, right? You get a B12 shot, you feel better.
Absolutely.
But then eventually you come back down, and it all depends upon, do you take care of yourself and your health.
You got to maintain that.
Yeah, a little bit of this, what you're saying, there's a Garth Brooks song. Are you guys familiar with Garth Brooks at all? Unanswered prayers. He goes to a high school football game, and he starts thinking about his high school honey. She was the one forever. whatever. But then, now he's married and his wife wasn't the high school honey. He was like, hey, some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what the Cavs are thinking. Like, what if the DeAndre Jordan trade went through? Would we have the same positive mojo, unanswered prayers? I think, and you're kind of bringing me to meeting you halfway.
Yes.
I think they're probably more likely to make the finals with their current roster, but I think they would be more likely to win in the NBA Finals with DeAndre Jordan on the roster. DeAndre Jordan is a superstar talent. Now, I understand that we all have the bias of negativity because of the free throw shooting of the past. He's not great yet, right? He's not Rick Barry. He's making about a 60% clip. Was 8 of 9 last night in a win over the Celtics.
Which is a drastic improvement.
But he's drastically improved, and he's the type of rim protector that you dream of having, and you just think he would guard Draymond Green and dare Draymond to shoot over the top of him. Otherwise, he'd patrol the lane and block shots. So I think had that trade gone through, and it didn't, but it's great, fodder for us here in sports radio. Had it gone through, they might not get the B12 shot. They might not feel as good emotionally as they do now, but I do think that it would make them more likely to compete and maybe beat the Warriors or the Rockets, whoever they play in the final.
And one of the points you made earlier that I thought was a tremendous point was we get caught up in the Golden State and their threes, but they shoot more layups. So having someone like DeAndre in the hole to be able to protect the rim is a huge asset in a series like that.
Right. That's part of what makes the Rockets good. That's part of what makes the Warriors good. We all track the three-point shooting and the three-point effective field goal percentage, but the reason that they can do without post play is because they shoot lots of layups, which is actually a more efficient shot than scoring in the low post.
Yeah, the layup's not as sexy, but incredibly valuable. I like it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.